This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube with a big daily news update. More drama for AEW. Ryan Nemeth, who is best known as the brother of Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, has filed a complaint against AEW. I don't remember anything about him in AEW, and as far as reading the results and everything, other than this incident, this is the biggest thing that happened to him in AEW, and I 100% agree he was the victim of behind the scenes politics, a higher wrestler holding people down. Clearly, CM Punk has become a different person behind the scenes in WWE and all, but also they have him on a tighter leash there. But basically, according to Wrestling Observer and Fightful, Ryan Nemeth filed a complaint where he claimed he suffered abuse, harassment, and threats while working in AEW from CM Punk, and AEW did nothing about it. He provided a timeline, basically, and I'll go through the timeline, but he's seeking changes to AEW's policies, and he wants financial consideration that he said was offered to him following an NDA that I guess he never got. Let's go through this. He says, let's go through his timeline. On April 16th of last year, he claimed that he was contacted by he contacted AEW's chief legal officer regarding being targeted by CM Punk. On June 21st, he was threatened in the locker room by CM Punk, which was a response for him writing CM Punk was the softest wrestler alive. Again, I mean, at some point in time, I missed the days where wrestlers would just fight if they had problems with each other. But I guess there's so much money on the line and the wrestlers just have different personalities. This kind of crap happened. But I mean, I'll say this on Punk's behalf. A company that was already having issues at this point, you don't want a low card or opening match guy publicly saying on social media that the top guy in the company is the softest wrestler alive. That's just, I mean, he should have just straight up been fired for that. It shouldn't have even got to Punk threatening him. In my opinion, they should have fired Nemeth for that. Whether it's true or not against Punk, a low card guy, if that was my company, I'd be like, why is this jobber publicly insulting our top star? We need to be strong. But again, this turns into Punk threatening him after that. Apparently, Moxley took Nemeth's side, said the situation wasn't right, didn't sit well with him. Of course, Moxley supposedly making millions and millions and millions and millions and millions in AEW, one of the top people. July 17th, Nemeth showed up in Greensboro, North Carolina for a collision taping and was told to go home. Apparently, he was told by AEW agent Pat Buck that it was travel confusion and was later told that it was because Punk didn't want him there. Again, he was probably paid for that. At some point, just keep your mouth shut and go home. But that I remember that was a big deal. And that was the first time I even heard Ryan Nemeth was in AEW. And I'm not taking anybody's side here. AEW clearly was giving CM Punk too much power, but I can understand. If I was the top of a company and there was an opening match guy dissing me, I would either want to have a match with him or some type of thing where I could like get this sorted out like men, or have him fired from the company. So I understand Punk's side of this. As I said, I'm sure this guy was paid for that, for going out there, because these guys are all under contract. Apparently, he called AEW legal, requested them to do something. And then he appeared on the August 16th Dynamite and told to cut a promo where he would verbally antagonize Punk. So this is where it starts to become weird. That did get publicity, and they should have done a Vince Russo angle with the two back then, because it did get people talking. And CM Punk had very few memorable matches in AEW. But I guess he met with AEW Human Resources the same day and was unsatisfied with their response. He was told an investigation was launched into his situation after Punk versus Jack Perry's fight. Nemeth's last match for AEW was November 18th, 2023. His contract expired in March 2024. So December, January, February, March. He got at least 3 or 4 months more pay. Apparently, someone from AEW's legal team reached out to reach a settlement with him for approximately 3 years' salary. So again, from what I understand, they make at least $150 a year in AEW, at least. So who knows what his deal was, but 3 years salary in exchange for an NDA. He was interested and wanted to discuss it more before it was pulled off the table. I'll be honest, to be offered 3 years salary for a wrestler confronting you because you publicly insulted him and he's the top guy in the company, that you probably should have signed that right away. I don't have much sympathy for this guy. I just hate how people are just such babies these days. I mean, he rarely did much in AEW. He still got paid. He complained publicly about top guys. He should have just been fired right there. And now he's wanting more money. To me, I mean, I can tell you because I had legal situations in wrestling related to being infected with a deadly disease and so forth. Once you start filing legal situations, companies won't touch you because they see you as litigious, I think it's called. So I guess he's just trying to get the most he can since his wrestling career is probably done at this point. But I don't really sympathize with him because like in the past, you didn't even get paid if you didn't work. And in the worst case, it didn't seem like he worked much. And then he was paid 3 or 4 months of his last month in AEW to sit at home, which is a great deal. As somebody that always works multiple jobs, and on YouTube, you guys see how much I post. I work like 12 hours a day on YouTube. I have no sympathy for people that can't deal with confrontation after they stir things up and then sit at home getting paid for months. And now I guess the money runs out, so you want to try and get more. I don't know. I know AEW will probably give him some money out of this because they seem very nice, but I don't know. I don't have much sympathy for him. Apparently, I don't know if Colt Cabana is still with AEW or not, but he hasn't appeared on TV since the CM Punk days for whatever reason. So he's either being paid to sit at home, released, although I haven't heard him doing any independence. So he may also be working backstage, doing something where he might be. I mean, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I heard, I don't even know if they were joking or not on The Observer, but they were saying there was something like 180 people employed by AEW for wrestlers. If that's true that there's 180, a lot of them are sitting at home doing nothing. As far as the WWE's Ring Boy lawsuit, which to me, it's different owners and that stuff happened 30 plus years ago. It was terrible, but the people involved in it, the Pattersons, the Phillips, Terry Garvins are all dead now. And it's a new company, and that was years ago. I mean, they should have gone hard on it years ago. But apparently there might be statute of limitations issues in Maryland, so it's paused right now. I also listened to the Wrestling Observer Radio Day where they were mentioning that AEW is really coming off as a second-rate promotion these days, not using all the stars on all the shows. I mean, they're certainly not using the stars, the quote-unquote stars, much as they should. and they're putting out a lot of cold matches that, in Meltzer's opinion, are great matches. But to me, I mean, I have a different opinion of a great match. I like a realistic, hard-hitting match like a Bruiser Brody would give, or a Goldberg would give, or a Stan Hansen or a Terry Gordy would give, or even an Ultimate Warrior. I don't consider the stupid leg slapping stuff and how many flips you can do. I don't consider that a great match. I'm sorry. The leg slapping thing has been done to death, and it just makes me want to puke. Like, I don't like those style of matches. So Meltzer can say, he is saying they're basically putting them out cold. There's not enough good storylines. But I will argue that in his taste, he might like the flips and stuff. I don't like gymnastics. I really don't like watching gymnastics. Maybe, and I'll be perfectly transparent and blunt here, if it's a beautiful woman in a tight outfit doing gymnastics, I might watch it for a bit. But men's gymnastics, I have zero interest in watching it in real gymnastics where they're better athletes than the wrestlers, or in wrestling. I've just seen it to death. And I know Tony Khan likes CMLL, which is a company pretty much full of that stuff, and he's insisted on promoting CMLL to death. The other thing Meltzer said was the Arlington Stadium, where tickets went on sale this week for their all in this year, is really out of their league for AEW right now. It's being set up for only 35,000. Can hold much more than that. There's been no news on what the ticket sales are at this point, which is probably a sign that they're not fantastic, or we would have heard something by now. By the way, Collision only had 114,000 viewers last week, which is terrible. Can't even tell you how terrible that is. Apparently for Conor McGregor, there's a wax museum in Dublin that has removed his wax statue, which apparently is the most popular statue in the wax museum. So that's probably going to hurt them more in the long run. I mean, if you look at Mike Tyson, who was criminally convicted of rape, Conor McGregor, and I'm not saying it's right or anything, there's some weird stuff about that woman's story, and she also accused someone else of raping her, and that was found not to be true. But McGregor was only civilly convicted, where Tyson actually had jail time, and Tyson is a beloved person right now, and everybody ended up forgiving him. McGregor's still more of a heel and more of an off-the-wall character, but it doesn't seem like that whole situation is going to affect him, because he's still the biggest draw in the UFC. And again, apparently people are pulling his Proper 12 whiskey, which apparently he didn't even own anymore. He was just the public spokesperson for it. So he'll probably fight again. Let me know what you think about. I mean, it to me, it just seems like wrestling is becoming babies. I saw Dustin Rhodes put out a big thing yesterday saying, "Oh, you guys should stop hating on AEW and just enjoy the matches." I mean, why are wrestlers such babies that they can't take heat anymore? Well, they're hating on us, blah, 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 blah. We make millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars for doing very little, but fans are hating on us and hurting our feelings. I'm just sick of it. Like, where's the tough men? Could you imagine Bruiser Brody coming out and like whining that a fan hurt his feelings and, "Oh, just enjoy my matches. Stop picking on me. Stop name calling." I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that makes me... I'd rather watch an old Bruiser Brody match. Well, let's see. What have I watched lately that I've enjoyed? I've watched some stuff from the 80s that I've enjoyed, but I can't think of anything. I mean, it was cool to see Bischoff come out on NXT, but I can't really say I watched that for any more than to see Bischoff on NXT. can't think of like the last thing I've actually enjoyed in wrestling, other than, I know I've said it before, but Seth Rollins taken down by the fan like 3 years ago now. I think that's still the most entertaining thing I've seen in wrestling in recent years. But that's just my taste. I thought it was hilarious, realistic. And I mean, I think wrestling is missing realism these days. And it's hard to get into it when these wrestlers whine so much. And I agree, AEW should have done something with Punk and Nemeth at that point on TV. That would have been interesting. But Nemeth never ended up doing anything else. And CM Punk had a final match against Samoa Joe. That was the main match I remember of Punk, and that's only because of the Jack Perry stuff that happened before. So I'm off to the gym. Have a great afternoon.